So I can get into sleep paralysis almost 100% of the time.
Do you have a process?
Yeah. And in fact, because I knew I was coming on here.
What was super fascinating to me was you said you started to be able to summon a wormhole. I was like, what?
Because some people can't do it the way that kind of most people say, which is lie down, focus on your body, don't move. So I've kind of added a binaural gateway into this, which is the binaural beats. So I land into it. I'm in like this kind of primary school, kindergarten type classroom. There's a leather sofa and I'm feeling it and I'm rubbing it and I can feel the rubber, the leather on my hands. I'm trying to say something out loud and I can hear my voice and I'm like, whoa, this is so cool. And then this guy comes out of the cupboard and he's kind of like, hi, hey, we need a conversation. I'm so happy you're here. And he starts to walk over to me and I'm just like, whoa. And I say to him, do you align with love and truth? And his face dropped. He went from being so happy and welcoming to his face dropping, turning around and going back in the cupboard.
What's going on, y'all? Thank you for being here. I just wanted to start that off with just saying thank you. The growth of the channel has been amazing. I'm gunning to do this full time. This is all I want to do. I want to keep doing these interviews for you guys. The best way to support me is definitely leaving me a like, a comment, or subscribing. If you want to take it a step further, I do have membership options. That is going above and beyond. So if you want to check those out, you can click join either above this video or on the main channel and see if there's something that makes sense for you. Today we have Sasha on the podcast. Wow, it's a good episode. It's a really good episode. He lays out a technique for you guys, exclusive just for everyone listening. He also has a full-blown guide that goes into much more detail that's going to be linked down below, along with his email so you guys can reach out to him. Just extremely relatable. I mean, his story that he breaks down and kind of all these things that have happened, I feel like a lot of you will relate to that because I related to it. And it just felt like a really, really good conversation with a friend. And as you guys know, I love those types of podcasts. So you will love this one. Trust me. We talk about some wild stories that he had, his techniques. We dove into fear. That's a huge theme of this podcast is fear and overcoming the fear. I think you guys are going to be thoroughly impressed with Sasha. So without further ado, let's get on with it. Here. Okay, we're just having a little combo. I'm in my garage in my underwear, dude, having a coffee, nothing stressful. We're good.
Good to know.
Okay, dude. So talk to me. I know you reached out to me. You've had some interesting stories, some interesting things happen to you. Gosh, it sounds like the course of your life, really. What was super fascinating to me was you said you started to be able to summon a wormhole. I was like, what?
The main reason I wanted to speak really was it's all to do with fear and how I've tackled fear. And I just think I watch so many videos like yours, like Darius Wright and his students, and I read through some of the comments and you've got people who comment and they talk about oh, this is demonic, or they need to find God, or it's the Archon's work. And I know, and it's hard to say I know, but in my experience, I know that it's just fear. Comments like that are all based on fear. The prison planet theory, you know, I'm not saying certain aspects of that aren't true, but again, it's kind of irrelevant. But I'll start with kind of my experiences from young and then to where we're at now. And then if you've got any questions, interrupt me. It's fine.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Okay. So I think the earliest memory I've got of sleep paralysis was about 4 years old. I remember being in my room asleep. I was dreaming of a ghost or something. And then I kind of woke myself up because I was so scared. And I saw this shadow figure at the foot of my bed. It was hard to make out if there was a face, but it just seemed like a cloak or a hood just staring at me. So I'm trying to move, can't move. If anyone who's had sleep paralysis knows what it's like. I'm not sure if you have, but
I've had it twice, and it's exactly very similar, except not 4. That's very young.
Yeah. So, so I'm trying to kind of call, scream, nothing's happening, wake up, that's fine. That's kind of my first earliest memory. So throughout my childhood, this was happening a lot. And each time it was similar, not necessarily with a shadow figure, but just me waking up, can't move, trying to scream. And then I got into my teens, and I tried. There's one experience where it happened the exact same, and I tried to force myself out, and I sat up. So I was like, oh, I woke up, and I kind of turned around, and my body's still, asleep. And I was like, whoa. So I kind of lay back down and closed my eyes, and then I woke up. So then that was kind of the first, like, that's interesting. That's not just, you know. So yeah, that happened when I was maybe about 14, 15. And then up until 21, I was experimenting with coming out. So I'd have these experiences happen, and I'd learn to kind of hover out and then move to the side and walk around the room. And I'd be able to kind of push myself through the wall of my bedroom and kind of fall down to the outside my house onto the street. So that's kind of what I was messing with from 15 to 21.
Can I ask you, so when you the first time you like lifted out and you turned around and saw yourself, what was the next day at school like? I mean, were you consumed with this thought for like, I'm always curious, like, did it, the next day was probably crazy, but then after that, were you always like, what was that? That has to mess up how you think. I mean, just day to day, you have, even if you're out there on the playground with your boys playing football or whatever, it's just like it's like you gotta think, like, I just left my body last night, right? Or was I tripping?
um, yeah, I mean, I'm the type of person that I kind of push it out my head. So I'm like,
Okay.
that is what it is. That happened. Okay, let's move on. Don't want to think about
Wow.
it too much.
Okay.
Don't want to scare myself. Don't want to think too much of it. The weird thing is, right, up until 21, 21's a big age. That's why I keep mentioning it, because of an experience. But yeah, up until that age, I was an atheist, even though I was born into a kind of Christian household, and my family was Orthodox Christian. They didn't really, they went to church for Christmas, but that was kind of it. Didn't really celebrate it. So, but they was very open. I was brought up in a way where I could find my own path. So I became, even though these experiences were happening, I became an atheist, because to me it was just some kind of something happening in the brain, and something that could be explained scientifically. So I was just like, yeah, there's nothing more than what we see. That's just some weird dream, kind of limbo state. Um, yeah, so that's kind of what my thinking was. So yeah, I'll push fear to the side, because I don't want to think of it because of fear. I don't want to make myself too fearful. Yeah, so there
I got
was
you.
Yeah, there was a time where I think I was about 18. I was trying to go through all of my in synchronistic order. My experiences of time. I was about 18. I was in my house and I had a dog, and there was just me and the dog in the house. The dog looked up to the top of the stairs and kind of his hairs went up on his back. He was that Alsatian, and he kind of followed down the stairs, followed around the wall, and then followed to behind my head. It was looking right here and started growling, and then
Oh, dude.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so,
And it
and
jumped, you said?
yeah, he jumped to bite something, and I kind of grabbed it. I was like, "Oh, it's okay." And then, so I'm in the house on my own, and again, I'm just like, push that to the side, whatever. It is what it is. So I've always had, yeah, stuff like this
Okay.
happen. So getting to where I am at that point at 18, I'm starting to learn that the shadow figure that appeared in my younger age didn't appear in my older age, while I was starting to explore stepping out. And I put that down to my relaxation and my fear, and being in that state so many times. So I come to the conclusion that I was manifesting that shadow based on my fear from the dream, seeing the ghost, my fear from every time I got into that state, associating it with that hooded figure. But then as I got older, I was like, oh, I'm in this again. I'm not even sure if I knew what it was called back then, but Yeah, I'm in this state again, but I'd have nothing there besides myself and my room. Yeah, so um, from 18, I started looking into aliens, pyramids, the history of the world. Started looking into psychedelics, DMT, psilocybin, how they affected people, and I kind of noticed that there was just something. This might be the reason you. I don't know, but I'm just guessing. This might be the reason you and everyone else kind of makes these kind of channels, podcast conversations, because you see something in someone's speech and you know that they know something or are onto something and you want to find out what that is. That's how it was for me. Whether it's someone talking about an NDE or an OBE or a sleep paralysis experience, they've had something that you can just tell by their words. You see the truth through their speech. Um, that was happening to me when I was reading these kind of. It was mainly to do with DMT experiences, and I was like, these guys are experiencing something, coming back and are speaking about something. Take away the aliens and the fractals and the patterns. Take away that they kind of seem to come back with something like a knowing of some sort. So anyway, I was kind of, now we're at 21. So I'm doing this. I'm not really going further than my room with the sleep paralysis. I'm trying to push through walls. Sometimes it's hard. Sometimes it's sluggish. Sometimes I can't get out. So yeah, we get to 21 and I'm still kind of reading into this stuff. And there was one particular thing that caught my attention. There was a woman who had a DMT experience and she was really scared from what she saw. I can't really remember now what it was, but I always like reading the comments because I feel like I can understand more when I read the comments because people might know what she doesn't, kind of thing. So there was one person that said, "Don't worry, you have been given a gift," and that stuck with me. And I don't know why. It just stuck with me. So then we go on to, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks later, I went to Amsterdam with the boys. Yeah, just have a good
That's
time.
sad, dude.
Yeah. So went there. Someone had the idea to have some mushrooms, but these aren't. Now I was looking into psilocybin. I never knew that was the main compound or chemical, whatever it is in the mushrooms. So yeah, we went to this shop. This woman's got this bag out, and they're just white, moldy, huge, mushrooms. So I'm kind of like, whoa, what's that? So I said to her, what will that do if we take it? She was like, oh no, it's fine. She said, it's just like being stoned. You'll see some, you'll see some funny colors and you'll laugh a lot. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. So, yeah, this changed my life.
That lady's a witch, dude. That's funny,
Yeah.
dude. Yeah, it's I went to Amsterdam and I didn't know there was like mushroom stuff available. It was just free willy-nilly. It was like, that surprised me. You could get weed and that was cool, but then it was like, oh, you can also get mushrooms just wherever you want. I felt like
Yeah.
it's just interesting place.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so
They,
you saw these crazy moldy mushrooms.
Anyway, so take these mushrooms. There's like 6 of us, I think. They all start laughing. They all start giggling. They've got tears down their eyes. Besides one of my friends who's kind of in and out of it and going, whoa, that's weird. That's weird. And I'm like, what's the matter? He's like, I don't know. And so 2 hours this is going on. I'm the only one who hasn't felt a thing. So I'm like, why haven't I? I want to join in. Everyone seems to be having a laugh. So anyway, we got like this apartment thing. Everyone decides to go inside in our apartment. I don't know why, but I think it's because of the mushroom. Everyone's feel a bit weird, but we're all sitting there in a circle and no one is saying one word. And I just have this feeling in my chest, and it's like a bit of an anxious feeling. And I watched everyone and they all were silent and they all started laughing the exact same time. I was like, whoa, that's weird. And then I had this knowing that I knew what they were laughing at without anyone speaking. And then that freaked me out. And I was like, how do I know what they're laughing at? So I stood up and then I never had anxiety or panic attacks in my life. before. I'm quite a happy guy. So now I start getting anxiety and I start having a bit of a panic attack. I start sweating in my palms. I said to everyone, I'm going to get fresh air. No one's listening. They were like, whatever. So I went to the it's like stairs you have to go down to go out. I wanted to go out. So I got to the top of the stairs. And then all of a sudden I felt my brain like electricity run from the top to the back. My thoughts were going, it felt like a million thoughts at the time. I completely blacked out. I lost vision. And I just saw this golden box floating in this black void. And there was a light coming through the lid. And I, again, had this knowing that if I open this box, all of the answers to all of my questions would be answered. Well, would be there if I opened it. So I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, let's do that. And I'm in my head, I understand that it's just a switch. That's all it is. It's just a switch. You just need to open it. So I'm starting to open it. And then I think, whoa, I'm in Amsterdam. This is freaky. What's happening? So I kind of pull myself out of it and I open my eyes. So that disappears. I open my eyes and now I'm at the bottom of the stairs. So that's all happened to me as I've been walking down the stairs without me watching where I walk. Because that's weird. So I just kind of shout up because I'm scared at this point. Guys, we've got to go. Let's go out. Come on, let's get some fresh air. Let's walk so that I can hear them all getting up. So I open the door, stand out the front. And as soon as I stand out, I'm just reliving it as I'm speaking. So you might see that in my face. As soon as I stand outside, I'm just hit with this infinite dimension, not visually. I just feel it. And there's no up or down or left or right. Time's gone, completely just ceased. And I just get this like really deep. I just want people to know, firstly, I'm in a, you'll hear by the end of this conversation that I'm so happy and content and love life so much. But I'm just speaking about this experience at this particular time. So I go into this kind of almost instant depression because what happens is everything that I've always thought gets stripped away instantly. My name, my identity, my sense of direction, my sense of time, my sense of location gets stripped away. And I'm kind of just in this infinite void, but in my head. So I can still talk and move, but to me, there's no point. It's instant nihilism. That's kind of what happened to me as soon as I stepped out. There was no point in anything because everything was just everything. It's hard to describe, but anyway,
Everything was nothing. That's what people describe it as. It was nothing.
It was
and I think the nothingness shocks a lot of people.
Yeah.
It was nothing.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Everything was nothing. But then, which I didn't know at the time, the paradox is nothing is everything. So, but we'll get onto that. So my friends kind of catch up with me. 5 of them, so let's say there were 6 of us. So let's say 4 of them were still laughing their heads off, tears. But the one friend that I mentioned that was kind of in and out of it, he wasn't the same. He instantly come up to me and went, "Are you okay?" I said, "I'm not sure." He went, "I know what you mean." So this dimension, I found that as we were walking, I found that I could go into it and out of it. So I could kind of go into it and my body on autopilot would walk and choose directions while I explored this infinite dimension in my mind. And I could come out of it and then kind of take back control and speak to people. And so as I was coming in and out of it, my friend noticed, the one who was, because it was happening to him as well, but he just couldn't kind of work. Well, none of us
express it almost. Yeah. He's just trying to figure it out too.
Yeah. So, so what happened now at this point is I'm kind of getting a bit freaked out. Well, I am the whole time. I'm a nervous wreck. I'm feeling depression, which I'd never felt before. I'm feeling nihilism. I'm feeling like there's no point in being here. I can't cling on to my happiest thoughts or love because it didn't matter. But it does, I'm just, we'll go there. Yeah, it didn't matter at the time. So I kind of went to look to my friend for just something, some kind of reassurance. And I went to say, like, am I okay? And I looked at him, and without saying it, he looked at me and said, you've been given a gift. So this is the same thing that stuck with me from reading that comment on that woman's video 2 or 3 weeks before. So, but at the time, I didn't think of that. I was like, oh yeah, I've been given a gift. Okay. And I kind of back into it. Like, it's a bit weird. But then I noticed that me and him were looking at each other and speaking and kind of going back into this dimension, but we never spoke. So we were communicating telepathically, just me and him. So yeah, I mean, I'll cut that story short, but because there's not much more to it than that. That happened the morning after. There was some residue left. I still kind of felt in and out of that dimension, but I wasn't able to access it. Oh, I missed out. When I was able to go into that dimension, I could ask any question and receive any answer instantly.
What'd you ask?
I can't remember. I wish I knew. I've asked myself this so many times, but
Oh,
I was asking constant questions. I knew. Okay, so I knew that death was an illusion. I knew that. I knew that. I had this sense that this was a dream, this reality. Again, we'll get onto that. But I just knew time and death were an illusion. That was kind of the biggest takeaways I got from it. Well, at that moment in time, even when I thought I kind of got over it, I kind of wasn't. And I was trying to be normal again. I was trying to feel again. And I saw it as the worst thing that I'd ever did. I saw it as the worst thing that happened to me in my life. And I kind of was beating myself up about it. What I found was when I was in that dimension, the whole time I was trying to cling. I was trying to find something that made sense, which I now know is what caused the fear and the depression and the nihilism. Because I was trying to cling, I was trying to hold on to some kind of identity. And there was a moment, and it was maybe only 30 seconds or a minute long, within that 8-hour experience, where I completely let go because I'd had enough. And as soon as I let go and surrendered to the experience, it was pure bliss and ecstasy for about a minute, and then I freaked out again. And so 7 hours, 59 minutes of the 8-hour experience roughly was terror for me. But that was key. That little slice was key, and it's been a massive part to do with where I'm at now. So yeah, so that took me about, I'm 34 now, so that it took me up until about earlier this year, maybe, to fully go through and understand every single aspect of what happened. Yeah, so I put sleep paralysis and I don't know if I want to call it OBs, but coming out during sleep paralysis to the back of my mind. And I just wanted to be me. I wanted to feel me. I wanted to know who I was. I wanted to enjoy again. So yeah, so that brings me up to, so I'm married. I've got a 6-month-old little girl. My
Congrats,
life's
dude.
been, thank you very much. So yeah, so put all that to the back of my mind, but I still kind of, to be honest, I didn't want to know it. I wanted to know me, which also is important to where we're at now. But this thing that's happened with me, which is why I contacted you, has all happened this year, and it's happened so quick, and it's all linked to my mushroom experience. And I don't know. I didn't need, but I really want people to hear it because of the fear. The fear is the main thing. But yeah, so up until a few months ago, well, let's say a few months ago, it was round about just before maybe my daughter was born, so maybe about 7-8 months ago. I come across Darius Wright. I know you're aware of him, so your listeners probably are as well. But what happened when I was listening to Darius's videos was the same thing that happened when I was 18, 19, 20, 21, when I was listening to certain people. It was the truth that I saw coming through his words. And, Darius has his own experiences and he says them in his own ways. And I'm not necessarily saying everything he says is true, but it's true to him and he speaks it in his way. But what you get when you see people like that is you get the core truth that comes, it's like shines through and it resonates.
I always describe it like there's there are words, right? Sounds that people make with their mouth that you could say, oh, that's true. And if they say something that you believe in, it's true. But then there's a truth that is they could be completely silent and you still hear it. And it's like that's the kind of truth you're talking about. It's like you feel it. They're
It's like a
speaking without
knowing.
even speaking. Yeah, it's just much deeper.
Yeah, it's you feel the truth, and I think I honestly believe it's like so I'm going to use words like soul and OBE and stuff, but like I hate labels. So and people are really quick to jump on labels. Like I might use God, I probably will. But just know it's an individual thing, and it's what it's what everyone calls it for themselves, but it means something to them that will be different to you. But yeah, so Darius was talking, and he was saying all this stuff about his OBE experiences, and I just knew he was telling the truth, and he is massive on fear. It's his biggest thing, and love. It kind of goes hand in hand. That's the paradox of it. So he made me want to explore OBEs, out of body experiences, controlled out of body experiences. And he mentioned a lot about, so he doesn't give much away on how to do it, but I'm an expert on getting into sleep paralysis. I've been doing it for 30 years. So I can get into sleep paralysis almost 100% of the time.
Do you have a
So
process?
yeah. And in fact, because I knew I was coming on here, I've put my blood, sweat and tears into a really comprehensive guide that I spent hours and hours on. It's called I've got it here. I'm just going to read it because I only made it a few days
Yeah, go
ago,
for it.
but I literally have spent days on it. The Complete Guide to Conscious Out of Body Exploration, Fear, Freedom, and the Remembering of the Self. And I go through, I'll just quickly run through it. Part 1, the foundation. Part 2, entering through lucid dreams, because some people can seem to really struggle with sleep paralysis, but are really good with lucid dreams. I've got 3 methods of getting into a lucid dream, and you can use all 3. How to strengthen your awareness within the dream, which is super, super important.
Is that you're saying becoming aware, right? Like realizing you're in a dream. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Or
so you can become lucid in a dream, but then you can also become lucid and then bring your full awareness into a dream, because your full awareness isn't there. You just know that you're in a dream.
Mhm.
But there's a way to fully bring your awareness into it, so you are there and it can become as real as this.
Wow, because I've had lucid dreams and I know exactly what you're talking about. For those who have, they will know. For those who haven't, it's like you have this moment where you go, "Wait, I'm dreaming." And then but it's like you're like drunk or something. Like it just
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
kind of like but like at the very like almost blacked out stage because you kind of and then you're like, "Oh, I want to fly." And then you'll fly, you'll start flying and then You're just not fully there. You're like kind of there, but not. And so you're
Yeah,
saying that you have a way to just like boom, just like you and I are talking right now.
it it gets to the boom, but it takes a few. So
Okay.
it's like muscle memory. So the first time you do um what I explain in here, you kind of bring more in, and then you wake up, and the next time you have a lucid dream, you do it again, and you bring more in. So I wouldn't necessarily say have your first lucid dream, do what I say, and then go for the OBE, because I'd focus on practicing your awareness in there first and getting that right. Because then once you're in, you can explore as yourself, rather than, half and half. Because, there are beings that you'll come across that will try to have conversations, or, and if you're not 100% yourself, why would you want to have a conversation? I'm getting at. So yeah, so I do like reality checks, strengthening dream awareness. That's where we was at. Dream awareness, bringing it in, super important. And then transitioning to an OBE from a lucid dream. After that stage, that's what I'll go through. And then I go on to part 3, which is entering through sleep paralysis. Personally, for me, lucid dreams are hard work. Some people find them easy. I've got into them. I've got into them loads, but they're hard work. You've got to constantly, in my opinion, have it as an intention. You've got to always have an intention. I'll go through that, but you've got to constantly have it as an intention. You've got to do cues. You've got to, and then you've got to think about, I want a lucid dream tonight. Whereas sleep paralysis, I can just get myself into it. Not 100% of the time, but very close. And I put that down to my, I don't like saying my highest self or my soul, but put that down to me knowing when the time's right to not have it and to have a break. And I kind of listen to that. My intuition, let's call it that. I listen to my intuition. And if I'm struggling, I'm just going to go to sleep. So yeah, entering through sleep paralysis. So I start with preparation. Then I talk about, because some people can't do it the way that kind of most people say, which is lie down, focus on your body, don't move. So I've kind of added a binaural gateway into this, which is the binaural beats. I speak about what hurts, such as 4-3-6 on one, 4-3-2 on the other. I talk about breath work beforehand, how to inhale in through the nose for 4 seconds, hold for 1, exhale through the mouth for 6. Do that for 10 rounds. That completely calms your body down. You'll feel your heart rate kind of slow. Your body relaxes. And every time you kind of twitch, or you have to try not to, but if you have to scratch, you kind of got to do this whole process again. So this is kind of the first way of getting into sleep paralysis. So lying down, binaural beats, don't move, stay calm. And then you start noticing little things, start noticing like tingling, start noticing vibrations.
Can I ask you? So when you do this technique, you put the beats on, so you have, and then you do the breath work, or do you do the breath work? Is that like the step one,
Yeah,
then put the beats on?
yeah, personally, I don't know if I've written it wrong, but it's breath work definitely first.
Okay.
So uh, yeah. So you can have the headphones on, but as long as you're lying down and you do the breath work, that totally calms your body, and then turn the beats on. I suppose it doesn't matter too much. That's what I do, but I don't do it that way anymore. I've just experimented with that way. I've got a way, for me anyway, a way better way of doing it. But I'm just going to give you, because this is what most people do. That
Yeah.
people charge, like I said, potentially hundreds of dollars for doing this, and I'm kind of giving it.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Yep.
um, so start the beats, yeah. Stay calm. Okay. So obviously, when you start noticing the cues, and again, this might take a few times for someone who's never got into sleep paralysis, or if they've only ever woken into it. But when you go into it from a wakeful state, you have to notice the cues, and you notice kind of a sway. You notice a kind of a lifting of arms, and at that point, if you stay completely calm, you can just kind of tilt your head and kind of just nicely separate and come out. So that's one way. I have writ kind of, it's so much more detailed than what I've just given you, but that's kind of, you know, a technique. If people want to take that away, they can, but if they have this, there's why, how, when, there's absolutely everything in this. And then I'll go to method 2, which is my preferred method. I talk about that. And then after the exit, awareness and grounding. This is a very important part now. Fear, sovereignty, and the golden test. I've called that because of the golden box that I had in my mushroom experience. That's huge. What fear really is, huge. Your sovereignty, huge. What waits beyond fear. So this for me is, I haven't, I've experienced what waits beyond fear in my mushroom experience, but not yet in my wormhole experience. You know, I think I reached out to you and I said it's appearing in my room. We'll speak about that in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't managed to go through it. I'll speak to you why, but and then I've got final words, an important disclaimer because everyone needs to be safe, and then some closing words. Hopefully that will empower you. That's kind of, we've gone through that now. That's my complete guide.
So I love it,
Yeah.
dude. I love what you put together. Let's dive into let's talk about fear, like as a topic. Like what
K-
let's
k-
dial into that, and then I want to talk about the wormhole.
yeah. So we'll go into this year after what Darius said. Resonated with me. So I was like, okay, so he talks about you can come out your body. And I was like, well, I've kind of been doing that, but not in the way he's describing. He's describing having physicality and meeting beings. And I remember I saw this hooded figure, but so anyway, so I was like, I've got to try this. I can get in sleep paralysis, no problem. So I had this intention, which is super important to do it, but not try to go into sleep paralysis. I just wanted kind of to relax because I knew how important it was when, and this is why I said to you, don't try so hard. When you try in, sometimes it doesn't work. So I thought, I'm going to let it go. I'm going to have the intention in my mind and just see what happens. So every night I'm kind of started saying, you know, I'm ready. If you're willing to open, I'm willing to receive, kind of thing, stuff like that. So the first thing that happened was this, literally after a week of listening to Darius and having this intention, I get into a lucid dream. And lucid dreams for me have always been, oh, let's fly, let's, you know, play around, let's kind of lose consciousness again and go back into a dream. But this time, kind of saw this landscape, become lucid, saw mountains, trees. I was coming out of this temple. And I just lifted my hands up and I said, I call upon my highest self to show me what I need to see. The whole dream started vibrating to the point where I felt like I couldn't take it. And I got whisked off into the sky so fast, faster than like thought. Like it was so fast. And I kind of woke up in my body. I was like, oh, that was crazy. And I turned over to my wife, kissed her, went back to sleep. And then I had a dream and then I woke up. But then when I woke up, I realized the first time I woke up, I didn't actually wake up. That was a dream. So it was almost like a safety net. It was almost like something, someone, myself, who knows, my brain, just swooped me up, put me into a safe spot and was like, this is all you need for now. And let me relax.
Ooh.
So then, a week later, have you got anything? No? Okay. A week later, I get into, same thing happens, another lucid dream. I'm like, oh, I'm in it again. I said, I call upon my high. Before I could even finish saying anything, this wormhole appeared, started swirling above my head, coming down. And I was kind of scared looking at it. And have you ever seen the Thor movies?
Not really. No.
Okay. Do you know do you know what the Bifrost Bridge is
No.
or not? Okay, it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. But the colours of the Bifrost Bridge are the same colours of the wormhole. So if anyone's listening who doesn't know what the Bifrost Bridge looks like, I've got a description for you. So it's like, and when I say wormhole, it's a tunnel, but I don't like calling it a tunnel because it gets me from A to B with, yeah, it's so hard to describe. Anyway, we'll go with the story. So this wormhole starts appearing, and I'm like a bit scared and I'm going through it, but this time I'm looking at the wormhole while I'm kind of flying through it. And I feel myself veer off to the side rather than going up. And I wake up and I look at my hands. They're as real as they are now, but I've got a black hoodie on in a room I don't recognize. I take the duvet off. I see a computer in the corner of the room that looks futuristic, but also old. So it's like, do you know the 90s computers with the really big backs?
Mm-hmm.
The monitors, really big.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of them, but it's like the screen is very futuristic. And I was like, whoa, like, what is this kind of, so I get excited. It's like I'm here now, but I'm get excited. I go to run out of the room and I touch the doorknob and I feel it for a brief second and then my hand goes through it. And then I get this robotic voice say, Luke, the transmission is ending. And as soon as I hear that, I wake up in my bed. Now, my name's not Luke, it's Sasha. But I had this knowing that that was an alternate version of myself. Who knows if that's the case, but that's just my experience.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty crazy.
We all know what a dream feels like. You're saying it was like this. It was physical. Like you.
Visually physical, but this is why it's so important about awareness. So, yeah, we, in my opinion, and I believe, I know it in my mind, I know it. We are having an OBE right now, right? I don't know if I've ever heard anyone say that before, but we are having an OBE right now. The difference is why this is so physical and so real is because our awareness is, our attention, our focus is in it so much. And not only is my focus in it, your focus is in it, and every person in the world's focus is focused into this experience. So it's a very, very real experience because of how much attention and awareness are focused in right now. So to me, I know this is an OBE, right? And this is why the fear needs to be taken care of, because this is what I've learned through this last 6 months. Anyway, so I had that happen. And then the week after, so this was happening once a week. And then the week after, I had this experience where I'm in a dream. I'm running through this dream. And all of a sudden, there's kind of a block of flats. The window opens. These people peer their heads through the window and they're like, go on, you can do it. You can do it. I kind of look at them and I become lucid. And I immediately just jump into the wormhole. I don't call it. I just jump into it. And I'm going further than I've ever gone before. And a little bit of fear starts to kick in because I'm like, this is the longest I've ever traveled. And I override it. And I'm like, no, carry on, keep going. So I'm going. And then I'm in an experience. I'm in a white void, just pure white void. And kind of in the middle of the void, I see this purpley blue smoke with about 1,000 orbs in the purple smoke. And I'm kind of observing it. And I just think that's enough for today. I know it's annoying, but I know me and I know how I need to integrate. So I kind of come back down, I wake up, So then I had nothing for about 4 weeks. And then I woke up in sleep paralysis after 4 weeks. And as I woke up, the bifrost was there. It was there. It was real. And I just wasn't, I was so, you know what it's like having a kid, especially 5 months old, 6 months old. I was so tired and exhausted. And I just looked at it. I went, oh, the bifrost. And I kind of went back to sleep. And then I was annoyed at myself when I woke up that I didn't go through it. And then I don't know if I'm missing stuff out here, but because so much has happened. We'll talk about the latest experience. The latest experience was I decided to get myself into sleep paralysis because I haven't been doing that. And I thought, I'm just going to go into it. I'll see if the wormhole appears. I got myself in sleep paralysis, but I didn't open my eyes. And I don't know why I didn't open my eyes. But sometimes I struggle with coming out from sleep paralysis. I missed one important one out. We'll go back to it. I'll talk about this one now. That's the most important as well. Anyway, yeah, so this is the latest one. Sometimes I struggle coming out and I have to kind of roll out. I have to stay there for ages. You have to fully relax. It takes a while, but sometimes I struggle. Other times I just come out. So I don't open my eyes and I'm struggling to get out and I feel a hand on my head. And it's so gentle and so calming. And it just very slightly tilts my head. But it's not my head, it's my like soul head or ethereal head, whatever you want to call it. And as soon as it did that, I'm like, oh, that's the position. And I just float out. And as soon as I start floating out, the wormhole starts appearing. But my eyes are closed, but I know it's the bifrost. It's golden. This time it's golden. I don't know how I know, but it's golden. It's warm. I feel the warmth on my body. It's inviting. I want to go through it. And I just had this. You always have fear, right? But I'll go through that. We will get into fear. I don't know how long you've got, by the way.
We're good. I got probably another 30 minutes if we need it.
Okay, that's enough, yeah. I'll go through it. And I just have this knowing that you're not ready. So, but it wasn't like a fearful you're not ready. It was like, you know how to come out, you know how to enter. Let's leave it there feeling. And I came back down and then I opened my eyes and I was so disappointed. Like, why didn't I go through? What do you mean you're not ready? Of course you're ready. And I kind of feel like that was, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who was with me. I've got my own opinion.
I think that's really cool that you did that. I mean, most people who talk about this, yeah, it's just guns blazing. I also think, just like, you hear people talk about, oh, if someone broke into my house, I'd beat their ass. And you're like, okay, maybe, but you also might act differently in that moment, And I think, to your point, it's like, we all feel like, if that happened to me, I'm zooming through, I'm going all the way. But sometimes it's so shattering. I mean, it's so intense visually, emotionally, all the above that it's like, all right, that's, and I've had that experience many times. I'm like, that's enough. I just had it I don't think I've even told anybody about this, but 3 weeks ago, I had another experience. I call these I write them all down because these are moments to me that are kind of like your wormhole moments where they're like, whoa. For the first time, and it was after I had an interview, this guy said I had spirits all around me. You can actually talk to them. He's like, you have a really good team around you, kind of thing. And I was like, all right, well, yeah, I feel that. And that night when I went into this weird state and it's like it went like this blue plasma and I was like, my eyes were closed, but it's almost, I could feel like beings around and they were like kind of coming in and out. And it was like definitely a unique state I'd never been in. And part of me was excited, but dude, I was so tired that day and I just had so much go on. And I was like, I know this is crazy because I love these moments, but I'm just exhausted right now. And I literally opened my eyes and I was like, I just don't want to deal with this right now. And I went downstairs and I just stayed up for a minute and I just like sat back down on my couch and I was like, I just want to go to bed. I don't want to like see any of that right now. And then in the morning, I felt the same thing. I was like, dude, you literally are so excited about these experiences and you had one and then you just kind of, and so I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying is
Yeah,
what I'm getting at.
it's that little bit of it's a little bit of, I don't know, it's protection, but that's what fear is. I'll quickly tell you one important experience that I had. The first time this has ever happened to me, and because of it, I've included it in my my guide. I'm finding it hard to get out, and I just say, screw this, I'm going in. And I just turn in and go into myself, and I'm instantly flying above an infinite dark grey mesh of lights. And I'm flying and I'm just like, whoa, this is cool. What's this kind of thing? And I just go straight into one of the lights, land on my feet. I kind of like stumble into it on my feet. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's the same. In fact, it was probably more real, almost as real as this, almost. It was more real than the Luke experience, which I thought that was basically the same as this, but it's just awareness again. So I land into it. I'm in like this kind of primary school, kindergarten type classroom, and there's a leather sofa, and I'm feeling it, and I'm rubbing it, and I can feel the rubber, the leather on my hands, and I kind of say something out loud, and I can hear my voice, and I'm like, "Whoa, this is so cool!" And then this guy comes out of the cupboard, and he's kind of like, "Hi, hi, hey, we need a conversation. I'm so happy you're here." And he starts to walk over to me, and he's about to sit down, and I'm just like, "Whoa!" And I say to him, "Do you align with love and truth?" And he says, "I'm autonomous." Now, you can think what you want, but I didn't know what autonomous meant at the moment. In the moment, I had to Google it when I woke up. But he said that to me, and because I didn't know what it meant, I just said, "That's okay, but do you align with love and truth?" And his face dropped. He went from being so happy and welcoming to his face dropping, turning around and going back in the cupboard. So I'm kind of like, yeah, so I'm kind of like, what a weirdo. So I'm kind of looking around this classroom, and then another guy comes out, and he's very quirky and hi, hi, and he almost very nervous, can't look at me in my eyes, and he just goes and sits down on the leather sofa, and he's like, "Come here," he says, "let's have a chat. I really need to talk to you. Let's have a conversation." And I say, "Do you align with love and truth?" And he goes, about that, can we have a little loophole?" And I said, "No loopholes. I'm not speaking to you as long as you say to me that you align with love and truth." His face drops. He gets up.
Whoa.
Yeah, gets up. He walks into the cupboard. And then a third guy comes out, like immediately, angry face, kind of stormed up towards me, doesn't look at me, sits down, and then turns to me and he says, "We need to talk." And I said, "Do you align with love and truth?" He went, "No." I said, "Well, I'm not, yeah." I went, "I'm not talking to you then." And he went, "What about the evil that happened on the weekend?" Right. So I'm kind of trying to think about what he's talking about. And I said, "What evil?" And then he smiled, and I just knew instantly it was like a gotcha kind of moment. Like you fell for it. And I went, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." I said, "I've told you already, I'm not speaking to you unless you align with love and truth." I said, "So I don't care about any evil. I don't care about what you've got to say unless you tell that to me." He put his head back on the leather sofa, and he smiled, went, "Good for you." And I saw his soul spirit just shoot up out of his body and go up. So then I turn around and I see this hallway, and I start running towards the hallway, and I just shout, I'm ready for love and truth. Show me. And I fly through this grid that I come in, and I wake up in my body. So I
Whoa,
need,
dude.
yeah, that was pretty cool.
Cool and creepy.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. It's intimidation. It's all about fear. So yeah, I mean,
wait,
yeah,
okay. Um, it's almost interesting. Like the environment it puts you in, right, is so innocent. Like a little kid's
yeah, yeah,
schoolroom, like what you know that, and then like you said, someone comes out all happy, like hi, like needed. It's almost like putting you psychologically in the perspective of a child, and then now
yeah.
a leader right in front of you, or
Sure, an
y-
authority, someone I have to listen
yes, an
to.
authority figure. It's
Yeah,
almost like it put you in that mode where your defenses are down, and then an authority figure comes out. So most people would probably just okay, let's have a combo. Um, Super interesting.
yeah.
I wonder,
So
do you ever think about what would have happened if you just had a conversation?
everyone has asked me this. I haven't got a large group, but everyone that I've spoke to about this has asked me, and my answer is I don't care. It's irrelevant because they didn't align with love and truth. Because if you tell me you don't or you can't answer me, then anything that you say to me, even if you're a 10-foot angel and I feel the presence of love, if you can't answer me that question, there's no point in speaking to you, because then it means that you may mislead me.
I was gonna say the gentleman I had on a couple weeks ago, Nathaniel, he said the same thing. When he got out, he started doing the Jesus handshake test, is what he called it, and he'd be like, "Hey, do you know my friend Jesus?" And he would hold out his hand, and a couple times he said this being that would be there, it would like he's like it withered away, like it couldn't shake his hand, and it was like this test he would do whenever he felt like something was kind of weird. And he's like, "I'm not even a Christian. I just, I know that Jesus is a name that is feared in that realm." So it's super interesting that you did a version of that, um, and
Yeah,
they couldn't answer.
yeah. This is my whole point about this is why I wanted to speak on your channel, because what I've learned, what I missed out and purposefully for this point now, and we're going to get on to fear now, is when I had my mushroom experience, there was one specific thing that I realized, and that the thing that I realized was I was just an observer, nothing more than an observer. I call it a focal point of awareness. It's why there was no left, right, up, and down, because awareness just is. You can call it God, source, whatever, but I am that, and we are that. We are just awareness, consciousness. Um, and this is what I knew, and this is what terrified me at the time. And what I've come to realize is we are infinite, untouchable emanations of source, that if we realize that, nothing and no one can ever do anything to us. I did mention to you about speaking about Jesus, which I did realize afterwards. I looked through your videos. There was someone who had like a whole kind of conversation about Jesus. So I won't speak about Jesus, but Jesus is like literal real teachings. We're all about fear, about overcoming fear, because he knew what I've figured out. He knew that nothing can truly harm you. And everything that and again, I'm not saying the prison planet can't be a thing, but I'm saying it's irrelevant. I'm saying if you cling on to that, that's what's happening. And the archons are there, and they're keeping us under control to harvest our energy, to keep us recycled, so we keep having to coming back. That's what you will experience. It's irrelevant. You are an untouchable, infinite focal point of awareness that is from source with your own experiences, and you cannot be harmed. And the other side knows. And some beings there, so everyone is basically everyone. Every being is basically every being, but there is individual aspects. I have my own experiences, they're mine. Even though I'm everything, I have my own experiences. Another being might have their own experiences, but not really like to associate themselves with source. So they, out of fear, maybe, will try to control situations or manipulate beings that are unaware of who they are. But as soon as you know who you are, no one and nothing can do anything. And Jesus's whole teachings were about escaping the prison you put on yourself, not a prison that someone else puts on you.
There's a book I've been reading, and I won't go too into it, but it does talk about kind of what happens on the other side. And to me, this is it's the book I've read the most that has the most, like we talked about, that truth in it, that kind of just feels like, there's really
Yeah.
something to this. And they go into dimensions. I won't go super into it, but like there is a fifth dimension, and when you're on that side, that's where most of us go when we pass over. And it is
Yeah.
love, it's light. There's a whole thing there, but there's a seventh dimension, and in order to get to the seventh dimension, you got to go through the sixth, and the sixth is where there are these beings that are talked about. And it's why like here there's this whole, it's like exactly what you just said, of getting over the fear and realizing who you are, because
Yeah.
the trap isn't that it's like like how we envision it here, like a jail cell. It's like they talked about it as like a lot of you will get scared, you'll love the fifth density, but then when you try to go beyond it, it's you default to saying like, I'm just gonna go back, that's too much,
Yeah.
and you go back here. And it's like that is the cycle, and that's why fear is such a big topic on everybody's minds. And it's like, you're kind of blowing my mind right now, because it feels like internally, maybe I'm not verbalizing it, but like things are connecting. And like most things, the truth is somewhere in the middle usually, but it
But you're hearing the truth. You're feeling it. This is what
yeah.
I'm getting at. When you speak the truth, you just feel it. You feel when someone else speaks it, and I'm speaking this through my truth, and you're feeling it, and you're saying connections are being made. It's because I don't know. Yeah, it resonates with you, and I want to say that all of your listeners, you don't have to believe what I say, but you have to. Well, you should take what resonates. Yeah, you should take what resonates from what I say, and you don't have to be. I don't care about negativity at all. It doesn't affect me. But you don't have to be negative on the stuff that don't resonate. It's a waste of energy. Just take what resonates for your own path, for your own journey, and move on. Stop commenting negative stuff and trying to put the world down and people down. You're all gods, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, you're all infinite, untouchable. You just need to believe it. And what I'm going through now with my experiences, it's the exact same thing. Me not opening that box, that golden box in my mushroom experiences, is me not going through that golden light in my sleep paralysis experience. It's the exact same threshold. It's the surrender that I need to do. It's the letting go and the trust. And it's the getting from the fifth to the sixth dimension. It's all the same thing. It's letting go, knowing that you're source and knowing that you'll be okay, and just allowing what happens happen. People cling to identities. They cling to labels. They cling and cling and cling. And it's not people's fault. It's how the world is. It's based on fear. It's based on identity. It's based on labels. That's a tree. Okay, we can move past it. But have you stopped and taken the label away and looked at the tree for what it truly is? Do you know what I'm kind of getting at? So, yeah, everyone is safe. Everyone is everything. And we need to start believing it. And you should, if you're brave enough, you should get my guide, and you should experience it for yourself. And you can even do a little practice, which is what I did for years and years. You can even summon, when you come out, a shadow being in your room, and you can even send them away. You can change their form from a demonic figure to a bouquet of flowers. You can do whatever you want because you are all powerful. You are that sleep paralysis state, and this might help you in your fear. It's still kind of your dimensional space. So your fears are projected into that space. So here's the practice. If you see something that you don't like, try and relax and change it, or try and tell it to go away. And I guarantee you it will go. I guarantee you it will change. There's nothing to fear in sleep paralysis. Yeah.
Dude, I love it, Sasha. This is a really, really much needed message. So thank you for sharing
Yeah.
that. It reminds me too of all these movies that we like, and it's like it's like we don't realize the reason these movies catch fire is because there's something to it. There's something to it that we all kind of like feel. Like Inception is one of them, where you're
Yeah.
in the dream within a dream, right? There, like when all of us see that movie, we go, "Oh wow, what a unique concept!" And these movies catch fire and they get super popular. But it's like,
Yeah.
what if it's not a unique? What if that it's the reason it resonates is because there's an element of that going on right now. And I think that movie did make a lot of us go like, "Wait." Like it had that effect a little bit, and then a lot of us brush it off, right? And we go like, whatever.
Yeah.
Matrix is another movie
I was
like
going to
that,
say Matrix. Yeah.
and there's these to me there's like two underpinning, and I'm probably leaving a lot out, but like my brain is at least gravitating towards two underpinning themes in life, and one of them is face your fears. It's like
Yeah.
everybody talks about it in sports, in just life in general, and then they always say like what's beyond that fear is the greatest rewards. It's almost like it's a program in this game where yeah, face your fears, like because beyond that is just even talk about on the physical world here in this plane. There's so much benefit to facing your fears, like whether you're scared of speaking in front of people and you finally do it and you get on stage and like the feeling you get from like dropping that fear is it's everything, right? And you feel like a new person. Or if you're scared of heights, whatever it is, right? It's this thing. It's always like face your fear, face your fear, face your fear, and that's like prepping us for again what happens next.
Yeah.
That's what I think about. And then beliefs. Your beliefs are incredibly important. One thing I can't shake is this concept that again through this book, but it's not just this book. I don't want people to think that I just read one book. It's like it's it's often very hard to explain to people one moment that builds your belief. To me, it's thousands of moments. It's hours of conversations that I've listened to on podcasts 10 years ago, all the way up to now. It's these interviews I've had with you. It's the books I've read. It's those little moments like right like seeing something where like why did that stick out so much to me, like a comment from a stranger. It's all these things are what goes into this belief, but it's everything. And this on the other side they said that, or there's this feeling to me that you can build on beliefs different than here. Like this is a very like linear level of belief. Like you believe one thing, it does direct your life and it does direct what you see or you don't see, right? Your brain, your RAS system, your reticular activating system will literally block out things that you're not thinking about. It's a part of this world. But then on the other side, there's like this whole idea of that there's beliefs built on beliefs. And it's very hard to explain unless you're there. But unless you have that basic understanding of how to work with beliefs, you're again, it's like it's just fascinating to think and talk about. It gives me goosebumps inside because I'm like, whoa, like you said, it feels like there's something to what we're talking about today.
Yeah. I'd say beliefs is a difficult word for me because it's kind of goes against knowing. But you could maybe I would maybe say intuition. So
Mm.
and again, what resonates. So it's the same kind of thing, but you kind of need to use your intuition as a compass. But I've found this is like so powerful for me that when I feel something is true, I just go with it, and it's never wrong. And there's the questions I've had for the last 30 years, and whenever I've felt something true, I've kept that with me and disregarded the rest. And it's kind of just, I don't know, it's just worked. It's just built. it's built up to. And I think we're as humanity now as a whole, I think we're kind of all kind of doing this now. You use the word beliefs, but it's the same thing. You're building what fits, and you're building what you believe is true because you feel it.
I would say too. So my wife asked me the other day, she was like, what do you think is the point of, and I said, look, I think it's about taking your beliefs and turning them into knowings. Like imagine you got two buckets and you got all these beliefs, because you're right. I actually agree with you. I keep saying belief because I do think it's the beginning. I mean, it is definitely what dictates what you start to see, but the goal is to turn that into a knowing. And how do you do that?
Yeah.
How do you turn a belief into a knowing? You do it through experience. That
Yeah.
is typically how you do that. It's like if someone told you 1,000 people from different backgrounds, different whatever, they would tell you, hey, beyond those trees is a cliff, and you can fall and get hurt. If 1,000 people told you that, but you'd never been there, you would believe, like if someone asked you what's beyond those trees, you'd say, well, I believe there's a cliff there because a lot of people told me that. And so that feels, but until you go there and you go through the trees and you look and you go, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, I know there's a cliff here now. Like I know that's a
Yeah.
corny example, but it's the difference between a belief and a knowing. A belief can be put onto you by sheer number of crowds of people believing one thing. You can believe that, but you
Yeah.
haven't experienced it, which is quite literally what my podcast is about. Is I want people to experience things because it just takes one, and it's a wrap. I mean, you go from belief to knowing, and then that is its own journey.
Yeah.
That is its own journey.
100%. 100%. And the thing is that, the what's going on in the world now is the media run what they run and people choose to believe. And if they just, and it's the same with religion, people believe their own religions, but if they just went inwards and saw, then yeah, it would change a lot. So
I'm working on a video. I just have no time, dude. Like I literally, this is why I keep saying I want to do this full time. This is like where I feel, this is where I believe. Actually, you know what? This is where I know I'm supposed to be. Let's say that. I know I'm supposed to be doing this. It feels true in my heart, and I'm working towards that because I got so many ideas. Like I want to do a video of literally everything I can think of, Sasha, of like a way you can have an experience. And I'm going to put in things like you can go to a medium, like that could be an experience. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but there's definitely, I've had moments from like, whoa, just getting yourself to go to that it's at least a moment where you go like, how do they know that? If you go to a reputable one, right? Meditation is one form of that. You can ask your guides for things. I've done that before where like I said, okay, if you're real or your higher self, call it what you want, like you said, but show me a golden rose tomorrow, right? And I've had these, I mean, it's happened to me 10 plus times, right? Ask it. It doesn't happen all the time. And I think to me, that just shows me that I'm not supposed to get answers to things sometimes, but I have asked for proof and I get that proof. And I have asked
yeah,
for things. And so I want to put this whole video together. Like, dude, here's a 50 things that you could go, just try one of them and keep going until you have a moment. Cause I just think then after that, you're on your own unique mission. Your mission's not my mission. Their mission's not your mission. And so you might have to go down a different path of whatever, but have the
yeah,
experience and stop it. I think I look at my family and I love my family, my immediate family, my brother, my sister, my parents, and they're very deep into Christianity. And I love that for them. There's actually, it's hard for me sometimes because I do respect it now. I've gone full 180. I respect it. I think maybe that's the path they need to be on. But there's also a piece of me too that's like, if you really are curious, it's not very difficult nowadays to I think you should shop your belief systems. Put them on the shelf a little bit. Have a bidding war. Like I think it's healthy to take something that you've believed your whole life and maybe put it
yeah,
up for sale for a second and go see what else is out there. Because if you do that and then you come back and you still want to take that belief and move on, more power to you, right? But I think if you've never done that, if you've never challenged it and just set it up just for a second, you're not abandoning your God. You're allowed to do that. You're allowed to go
yeah.
test some other things and decide like, okay, actually, Christianity works for me. I'm going to run with that. But shop around a little bit. I think shop around a little bit.
But do you know what holds them back?
Fear.
It's
Yeah,
fear.
fear.
And the thing is, one thing I've learned is everyone's on their own path, and I've kind of offloaded to someone before, and I see that they can't take it all in, and I'm like, oh, I can't give them that.
Mm-hmm.
So now I've
Same.
stopped. So now for me, I just give the core message of fear, because to me that's all that matters. Love and fear is kind of the same, of opposites. Yeah, same side of, I'm trying to say with the coin.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Two sides of the same coin. I'm trying to alleviate people's fear, because once that is gone, they can do what you've said. They can experiment. They can step out the comfort zone, and the comfort zone will expand. But it's also important not to. And I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying in general, it's also important not to force someone, to go outside of their comfort zone if they're not ready. But they need. That's why I kind of wanted to get this message out. And I'm not saying I've dealt with fear, but what I have done is I've converted fear. I've changed it from being fearful to accepting it and bringing it with me. So if I feel fear rise now in sleep paralysis or a wormhole or a lucid dream or an OBE, I'll say it's okay. We're safe. You can come with me. If it gets too much, bring me back. I kind of speak to it like it's my friend, and it's just changed. It's changed everything. So I think people need to start looking at fear differently instead of trying to overcome it and dismiss it or throw it to the back of their minds. I think they need to accept it as part of themselves. I think people need to accept themselves for who they are, um, and give themselves a break and let go and just be human and be themselves, because that's the whole point. If I was to ask you, if you was to go tomorrow and leave this realm, this reality, this world, what would be the things that you miss most? Sorry to
I
put
would
you on the
say
spot.
the ex- I was no, I would say the experience, man. I would say that would be my answer. Like, but all the
Yeah,
things that that are that experience, my family, that the little moments in life where you crack up and you can't stop, like all those moments,
yeah,
the
the,
time where
the
you hit a beautiful golf
feelings,
shot. It's the
y-
experience. You'd miss
yeah,
that.
the experience, and people are so fearful. They live in fear. They live in fear of being looked at a certain way. They try to label everything, they try to control everything, and they're missing the whole experience. They're missing the whole reason they're here. The reason they're here isn't to think about archons and worry about being stuck in a prison. It's to love your family. It's to watch the sunset. It's to look at a tree. It's to love. It's to feel. Because I don't know how long we got. I'll be really quick, but this is what I've got from all of my experiences, right? Source is all powerful. Source is infinite. Source is limitless. Source is everything. So, what can Source do that it can't do? It can experience being limited, death, emotion, having a family, by forgetting its source. It's the only way it can do it. So, I don't think we're here to try and break out of a prison. I think we're here to love the experience as source. We need to bring our true selves into our human self. We don't need to escape to anything. We don't need to find ourselves. We're already here. We're here. We just need to bring our full awareness into here from source, because source is chilling. It doesn't need to be anything, but it wants to experience something it isn't. And the only way to do that is to forget who it is and have the experience. But people are so scared, they're so trapped in their own little prisons, that they're ruining their experience of life. So yeah, I wouldn't say that.
This was a fascinating conversation. I'm really happy you reached out, man. Again, I get a lot of emails right now, and I read yours, and I read all of my emails, but I read yours, and I was like, yeah, this feels like I need to get this guy on. So really happy I did. I'm gonna link your guide down below. Anything else you want me to, please send it over in an email. And yeah, man, I'd love to have you back on. I say that often, but I mean it. I would love to have you back on as your journey progresses and as you continue on. And I wish you and your beautiful daughter and your family the best, man. I know you're gonna love it. And I love I love all the work you've done to get to this point. You're my age, so I'm 33, about to be 34. You're 34. We're the same age here, and I think you just have a really really needed mindset nowadays. And I just know that we're on separate places and not even close to each other, but I know that the people you're running into are benefiting from being around you and just the kind of energy you put out there because I can feel it. And you started this podcast saying you were a little nervous, and I think you're actually very very good at how you communicate, and I think you could totally do something like this, man. You could absolutely have your own podcast and do your own thing because I think you are most definitely meant to help people. So it's my two
Thank you very
cents,
much.
brother.
That means a lot. Yeah, I've really enjoyed it, and I will reach out as soon as I go through that wormhole. I think I know what's waiting, but I don't want to think. I want to know. So we'll see. But as soon
We'll
as I
do
go through,
episode 2.
yeah, as soon as I go through in sleep paralysis, I'll reach out. And yeah, if you want me back on, great. I'd be happy to have this because I'm so passionate about this. I can go for hours. But it's nice to have someone that understands as well because my circle don't. So there's only so much I can talk about. There's only so far or so deep I can go without them. I see them kind of foggy eyes, and
Yeah.
but yeah, I've loved it, and thank you so much for having me on. I appreciate it.
Of course, my brother. All right, man. I will let you know when this goes live. And until next time, dude.
Right, great.
Cheers.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.